Darkness falls, your eyes close, and suddenly you're soaring above ancient temples, conversing with strangers who feel oddly familiar, or perhaps witnessing events that haven't happened yet. What if these aren't just random neural firings? What if, in those mysterious hours when consciousness slips away, you're actually traveling somewhere else? Every night, humanity collectively spends over 6 billion hours in a realm we barely understand. A dimension where physics bends, time warps, and the impossible becomes routine. The ancients didn't see sleep as mere biological maintenance. They recognized it as a gateway between worlds. In the shadowy chambers of Egyptian temples, priests would sleep on sacred beds, believing their souls journeyed to receive divine wisdom. The Greeks built special sanctuaries called Asclepions, where the sick would slumber, expecting healing visions from beyond. These weren't primitive superstitions. They were sophisticated systems for accessing what Plotinus called the anima mundi, the world soul that connects all consciousness across time and space. What if these ancient philosophers weren't just speculating but documenting something real? What if modern science, with its rigid materialist framework, has been missing something fundamental about human experience? The evidence hiding in plain sight might just rewrite our understanding of consciousness itself. Tonight, we're diving into the mystery that consumes 1/3 of your existence. The question isn't just what happens when you sleep, but where you go. And trust me, what we're about to uncover might change how you view reality itself. Is your mind ready to explore the sleep realm? The concept that sleep might be more than biological restoration isn't new. Across civilizations separated by vast oceans and millennia, we find striking similarities in how our ancestors understood this daily surrender of consciousness. Picture yourself in 3rd century Alexandria. The philosopher Plotinus sits writing by lamplight, articulating a revolutionary idea, the anima mundi, or world soul, a vast living intelligence that permeates and connects all existence. In his Enneads, he describes how our individual souls are never truly separate from this cosmic consciousness. During wakefulness, we experience the illusion of separation, but in sleep, those boundaries dissolve. The soul leaves the body and descends into itself. It then reverts to the universal, Plotinus wrote. This wasn't mere poetic language. He was describing what he believed was a literal process of consciousness expansion during sleep. Now imagine ancient Egypt, where temples called houses of life, stood as gateways between worlds. Priests would fast, purify themselves, and sleep on special beds, believing their souls would journey through the duat, the Egyptian otherworld. The fascinating part: the detailed protocols they developed weren't random rituals, but sophisticated techniques for inducing what modern researchers might call lucid dreaming or astral projection. What's particularly compelling is how these ancient sleep practices appear across disconnected cultures. The Tibetan Buddhists developed elaborate dream yoga techniques. Indigenous shamans worldwide used sleep as a vehicle for spirit journeys. The ancient Greeks built dream incubation temples, where the sick would sleep to receive healing visions from Asclepius, the god of medicine. Were they all tapping into the same underlying reality? Fast forward to our modern era. In 1953, researchers Eugene Aserinsky and Nathaniel Kleitman discovered REM sleep, the phase where our most vivid dreams occur. During REM, the brain shows activity patterns remarkably similar to wakefulness, yet the body remains paralyzed. It's as if the mind is awake while the body sleeps, exactly what ancient traditions described as the soul temporarily leaving its physical vessel. Even more intriguing are the countless reports of shared dreams, where 2 or more people report experiencing the same dreamscape. Dr. Stanley Krippner's research at the Maimonides Dream Laboratory documented numerous cases where subjects appeared to share dream content under controlled conditions. If dreams are merely random neural activity, how do we explain this phenomenon? Consider also the work of psychiatrist Carl Jung, who proposed the collective unconscious, a shared reservoir of experiences accessible to all humans during dreams. Jung's concept bears striking resemblance to Plotinus's anima mundi, suggesting that during sleep, we might access a dimension of consciousness that transcends individual experience. But what if we're missing something even more profound? What if sleep isn't just about accessing a collective consciousness, but actually visiting other dimensions? Quantum physics has demonstrated that reality is far stranger than our everyday perception suggests. The many worlds interpretation proposes that all possible alternate histories exist simultaneously in parallel universes. Could our dream journeys be glimpses into these alternate realities? The boundary between speculative philosophy and cutting-edge science grows increasingly blurred. Neuroscientist Dr. Giulio Tononi's integrated information theory suggests consciousness might be fundamental to reality itself, not just an emergent property of brains. If consciousness is indeed primary, could our dreams be explorations of consciousness unbounded by physical limitations? What happens when we consider these ancient wisdom traditions alongside modern scientific discoveries? Could they be describing the same phenomenon through different lenses? But here's where the mystery deepens even further. What if I told you that some of history's most revolutionary discoveries came not from waking thought, but from the sleep realm? Auguste Kekule, struggling to understand the structure of benzene, fell asleep by his fireplace and dreamed of a snake biting its own tail, the Ouroboros symbol. He awoke with the revelation that benzene forms a ring structure, revolutionizing organic chemistry. Dmitry Mendeleev saw the periodic table of elements in a dream after falling asleep at his desk. Niels Bohr conceived his model of the atom during a dream state. Coincidence? Or were these brilliant minds accessing information beyond their waking capabilities? The mystery intensifies when we examine the phenomenon of precognitive dreams, dreams that appear to predict future events. In 1966, psychiatrist Dr. J.B. Rhine collected over 7,000 cases of apparent dream precognition. The most famous might be the numerous documented dreams that foresaw the Titanic disaster before it occurred. How do we explain this within our conventional understanding of time? Now, consider this mind-bending possibility. What if time itself operates differently in the sleep realm? Physicist Roger Penrose and anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff proposed the controversial orchestrated objective reduction theory, suggesting that consciousness arises from quantum processes in brain microtubules. If true, this would mean consciousness operates at the quantum level, where the normal rules of time and space break down. Here's where Plotinus's ancient wisdom converges with quantum mechanics in a startling way. Plotinus described the anima, mundi existing outside of time, a realm where past, present, and future coexist. Quantum physics similarly suggests that at the fundamental level of reality, time may not flow as we perceive it. But the most provocative evidence comes from lucid dreamers, people who maintain awareness during dreams and can control their dream environment. Experienced lucid dreamers report that dream time flows differently than waking time. A 5-minute dream can feel like hours, or conversely, hours of dream experience can transpire in minutes of physical time. What if this time dilation isn't just subjective perception, but indicates that consciousness is actually operating in a different dimensional framework? The implications are staggering. If consciousness can exist independently of the brain's physical constraints during sleep, could this suggest that consciousness itself is non-local, not confined to our physical bodies? This would align perfectly with Plotinus's view that individual souls are temporary expressions of the universal world soul. Perhaps most unsettling are the consistent reports from diverse cultures of encountering entities during sleep that seem to possess their own autonomous existence. From the shadow people, described in Sleep Paralysis, to the dream guides reported by shamanic practitioners, these encounters challenge our understanding of what constitutes reality. Neuroscientist Dr. Olivia Maynard's controversial research suggests that during deep dream states, the brain exhibits patterns consistent with receiving information rather than merely generating it, as if tuning into a frequency rather than creating content. But if we're receiving information during sleep, where is it coming from? The ancient Egyptians believed the Bay soul traveled to the Duat during sleep, returning with wisdom from beyond. Plotinus taught that in sleep, the soul reconnects with the anima mundi, accessing universal knowledge. Indigenous traditions worldwide describe dream journeys to spirit realms where information is exchanged. What if they were all describing the same phenomenon, a genuine dimensional shift of consciousness that occurs nightly across our species? And here's the truly mind-bending question. What if this other dimension is actually more fundamental than our waking reality? As we emerge from this journey through the sleep realm, we're left with more questions than answers, and perhaps that's exactly as it should be. The mystery of where consciousness goes during sleep remains one of humanity's most profound puzzles, bridging our most ancient wisdom traditions with our most cutting-edge scientific inquiries. Consider this. Every night you close your eyes and participate in what might be the most routine yet extraordinary dimensional shift possible. Your consciousness slips the bonds of physical reality and ventures somewhere else. Whether you view this through Plotinus's philosophical lens of reuniting with the world's soul, or through quantum physics' perspective of consciousness operating beyond space-time constraints, the implication remains the same. You may be a dimensional traveler without even realizing it. The boundaries between dreaming and waking, between individual and collective consciousness, between past and future, all become permeable in the sleep realm. Perhaps this is why sleep has been venerated across cultures as a sacred state, not merely a biological necessity. What might happen if we approach sleep not just as rest, but as an opportunity for exploration? The ancient practice of dream incubation, intentionally seeking wisdom through dreams, has been documented from Greece to Tibet, from Egypt to the Americas. Modern research into lucid dreaming suggests these techniques weren't merely symbolic rituals, but practical methods for navigating the sleep dimension with awareness. The next time you feel sleep approaching, pause for a moment. Remember that you stand at the threshold of what might be another dimension of existence. The heaviness of your eyelids isn't just fatigue, it's the weight of one reality giving way to another. That hypnagogic state, the dreamlike transition between wakefulness and sleep, might actually be the sensation of your consciousness shifting dimensions. What mysteries might you solve? What wisdom might you access? What realities might you visit if you approached sleep with intention rather than habit? The ancients believed this daily surrender of consciousness wasn't a loss of awareness, but an expansion of it, a return to our true nature beyond the limitations of physical existence. Perhaps Plotinus was right when he wrote that in sleep, the soul is restored to the universal, reconnecting with the anima mundi that permeates all existence. Perhaps in those hours of darkness, we remember what we truly are. Not isolated individuals, but expressions of a vast, interconnected consciousness that transcends time, space, and perhaps even dimensions. The mystery of sleep invites us to question our most fundamental assumptions about reality itself. And in a universe where quantum physics has already shown us that reality is far stranger than common sense suggests, perhaps the ancient wisdom about sleep deserves a second look. So tonight, as you drift towards sleep, ask yourself, where am I really going? And who or what might I encounter there? Like this journey into the mysteries between consciousness and dreams? Hit subscribe for more mind-expanding explorations at the edge of known reality. And remember, what we've explored today blends documented historical practices with speculative connections based on philosophical and scientific sources, a constellation of possibilities rather than definitive answers. What do you think happens when you close your eyes at night? The mystery awaits in your next journey to the sleep realm.